Miana Massey from the Atlanta Voice, and we are here with Chris Williams, one of the youngest Black franchise owners of Subway here in Atlanta.
I'm from the south side of Chicago, born and raised, grew up with an amazing family. We wasn't the poorest family, but we also wasn't the richest at all. I grew up in Inglewood, which was probably one of the roughest, if not the roughest area on the south side. It was the area that Derrick Rose, Anthony Davis, Jabari Parker, so some of those guys grew up in. We were surrounded around gang violence, drugs, poverty, all of the above. I got to a point in 2017 where I decided that I didn't want to have that be my reality anymore.
Okay.
And I wanted to get out and help other people get out. And the only way for me to do that was to take a risk. So I sold my car and I ended up moving to Phoenix, Arizona for finance school. When I got to finance school and finished, I literally traveled across the nation applying for jobs. I ended up getting hired in South Florida to work as a finance manager, and by the time I started, I had ran out of my reserve. So I only had enough money to pay for either a rental car or apartment. So I decided that I needed to get around within South Florida because it's a pretty long state of Florida. So I chose the rental car. So I got the rental car, and I figured that I would use my commission money to pay for an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't make commission at all for a few months.
Yeah.
So I ended up going from 1 month in the car to 2 months to 3 total. So it was brutal. It was tough. If you know anything about South Florida, it's very humid and hot.
Yeah.
So at night, I would try to let the windows down, and I remember many nights waking up having to roll the windows up because it was raining in Florida.
Yeah.
I remember sleeping in the parking lot at Walmart and trying to find somewhere to sleep by light so that I would be safe while I was sleeping.
Okay.
And I remember the security guards knocking on the window extremely hard, like, "Hey, yo, you can't sleep here, no overnight parking." And I would just cry, like, it was a rough period. It's cute now, but it was brutal. I just wanted to get out of the car. So long story short, I ended up getting a job offer, making 6 figures in Atlanta last June. So I moved here, took the job offer so that I could get out the car.
Yeah.
And in the process, I would study, even though I was sleeping in the car, even though I was in the process of moving and stuff, I would still study business concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I would look up Harvard's syllabus, and I would buy books that were taught at Harvard, and I would teach myself, self-teach myself those concepts, taught myself accounting, things like that, in the process of me trying to build my reserve to try to become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
In the process of doing that, opportunity presented itself for me to be able to apply to become a Subway franchise owner.
So let's get more into that. So how does one actually, become a franchise owner? How do you come from living in your car and kind of hustling and just being young and having a dream of wanting to, accomplish more and do better? How did you actually get that franchise?
So each franchise has a certain process and a certain structure that you have to go through in order to become what they call a franchisee. So the franchisor is the individual who provides the opportunity for you to become a franchisee.
Okay.
So the franchisee is the individual who basically has received permission from the franchisor to license their name, their products, their designs of their store for a profit.
Okay.
And what happens is during that process, the franchisor receives a percentage of that, which is called the royalty or whatnot. So the process in and of itself details, they want to scrutinize your finance, so they want to know what's going on with your finance. How is that? They look at your background. They want to make sure, you are, an integral person. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a person with a felon or a misdemeanor may be disqualified, but it's ultimately up to that particular franchise or that they are applying with. Usually have orientation, introduce you to the history of their prospective brand, whatever brand you're going with, and you go from there. They send you through their headquarters and they process it and they determine whether or not there's somebody they feel like they determine whether or not you're a good fit for their brand, basically.
So was this just a random idea? I want to, get a Subway. Like, how did this come about?
So I've wanted to own a Subway for the last few years.
Why Subway?
I felt like it had a strong brand. So I felt like it had a strong name, a strong brand, and it had withstood the test of time. Okay. So I felt like because of that, that was something that I wanted to be a part of, because I felt like from my end, being a young millennial, I could help them as well.
So talk a little bit about being one of the first Black Subway franchise owners.
Okay, so as it pertains to that, it's been crazy. So I initially, to be perfectly honest with you, I posted the picture of me signing the documents with the owner prematurely.
Okay.
And I got myself in deep trouble because we hadn't closed the deal yet.
Okay.
So it went viral and we had like 4 or 5 million people that saw the article, but I shouldn't have posted it. So
right. That's the thing about being young.
Yeah, it was a lesson.
Social media,
Yeah. So I had to make up for that. But outside of that, you can't stop a story from going viral. Once people have seen your face, they've seen it. So it's been amazing, the reception and stuff that I've received from just going through the process of that. Mm-hmm. It's been amazing. I've enjoyed every minute of it, just seeing the people that have been inspired. I've had people from Europe like send me pictures of their application for the brand, and they're like, hey, yo, we are applying to do Subway because you're doing it. You did it. I've had people from the islands like, hey, yo, I'm finna buy my first Subway now. People have hit me up like, hey, yo, we were homeless and we didn't think any of that was possible, and you've made that possible for us. Now we're getting ready to pursue, entrepreneurship. So that has happened. So for me, I feel like I want to be the type of person who not only gets through an open door, but hold the door open for others to walk through. We have a lot of that, particularly within the Black community, where we become successful. And when we become successful, we brag on everything we got, we showcase it, but we don't show others how to succeed like we did. Right. So that's one of the things that I want to do. I want to show others how I have succeeded, and there's different steps that I've taken, which is why I'm launching a business course as well. Yeah,
so I was actually going to mention that. Talk a little bit about the business course and just any advice you have for young people trying to get into business, get into entrepreneurship.
So I was filming this weekend, and one of the things that I actually mentioned in the film was in order for a person to take or start a business, you have to take a risk. Risk is associated with business and entrepreneurship 100% of the time. There's not one time that you won't start something that you won't be taking a risk. And risk, if calculated right, can be minimized, but you cannot be afraid of risk. But this is what I said exactly. I said that as it pertains to risk, on the other side of it is reward. So on the other side of risk and sacrifice is reward. So if I sacrifice today and I sleep in the car today and I wait and work hard for a commission check so I can keep saving my money to purchase a store, then on the other side of me doing this is the opportunity for me to become an entrepreneur. And this is just an example using my story. But
So would you say, just being young, is it better to take more risks now rather than later? And just kind of some advice in that spectrum.
So one of the things that I wanted for myself was I didn't want to retire old. A lot of times we have been painted this American dream that basically states, hey, get a high school diploma, and if you get a high school diploma, you will qualify for this amount of money. And then if you get a college degree, you'll qualify for this amount of money. If you get a master's degree, you qualify for that amount of money. When in reality, they basically conditioning us to be employees for the rest of our life.
Right. Absolutely.
So I have friends that are actually, they graduated college and they graduated recently, and they have tons of student debt, but they're delivering pop for Pepsi. And that's not what they went to school for.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the things that I understand is that in order for me to, and it goes back to what I said before, in order for us as young millennials to beat and break the mold that has been set for us by society, we have to start young, start investing young.
Okay.
I also had another venture where I raised a lot of money from investors, and the majority of them was millennials.
Yeah.
They say they have studies and stuff that show that, hey, millennials are broke, they don't have enough savings, but there are millennials out here that are actually investing in stuff.
Okay.
They're buying up property, they're buying houses, they're buying rental property, they're buying franchises.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would tell someone is to start young.
Okay. And so definitely in the African American community, a lot of times we may want to invest, but there's not necessarily the resources, or we just don't know where to start. What is some advice on how we can get equipped with that information?
So I would say one is to surround yourself around individuals who are doing what it is that you want to do.
Okay.
So if
definitely.
I know individuals who, and it doesn't matter, they could be young, they could be old, doesn't matter the age group, but you want to get you around someone who is doing what you're doing on a greater scale, or what you want to do on a greater scale.
Yeah.
Like for example, I had a friend, he actually was Nipsey Hussle's childhood friend.
Okay.
He's the youngest multi-owner of Subway franchise in North America,
Okay.
black guy. And we connected, and he actually helped mentor me during the process or whatnot. And he's like maybe like 5-6 years older than me.
Okay,
but
wow.
he helped mentor me.
Yeah.
And I was humble enough to be able to receive that knowledge.
Yeah.
And one of the promises I made to him was that I would pass that information down, to the next group of people that was interested in doing what it was that I did. So you have to surround yourself around individuals who are doing what you're doing or better. And then also you want to read books, you want to study, you want to take courses, you want to do that to prepare yourself for that. College in and of itself has proven that it has proven that it's not the only way to prepare for entrepreneurship.
Okay. I know you have a background in the military, right? How do you think, there's a lot of discipline that goes into, just being in the military. How do you think that has helped you get to where you are today?
So I really appreciate that experience that I had, the brief term I had in the military. It actually made me mentally tough.
Okay.
It helped me to pay attention to detail. It helped me to face adversity without running from it. When I got out of the military, so before I went in the military, because I grew up on the south side of Chicago, I was fearless, but they basically helped me to tame that fearlessness and to become, someone said that meekness is strength under control.
Yeah.
So basically, the Army helped me to become meek, helped me to tame all of the energy and the strength that I had to use it in the right direction. So that's how it's helped me.
Okay. And then just how can what's next for you? I know you have the summer that's coming up. I know you're going to Essence Fest.
Yeah.
But what else are you involved in right now?
So I have a few things. I have a few things that's coming up in the works. I'll be announcing. But right now, of course, is the Subway store. We're getting ready to announce the actual grand reopening of the store.
Okay, so when do you think it's going to be?
Beginning of August.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming up.
Yeah, so we're going to do a special announcement, give the location and everything in the coming weeks. And then also the course that I've launched is basically going to teach individuals how to raise capital like I did, take the proven steps and the methods to be able to do that. Yeah.
And there you have it. We just wrapped up an interview with one of the youngest Black franchise owners of Subway here in Atlanta. Thank you so much, Chris.
No, thank you so much for having me.